It could have been a loss that crippled his political career, and instead, it propelled him to the presidency. Lincoln's last trial comes from a one-of-a-kind transcript brought to novel by ABC's chief legal correspondent, Dan Abrams, and David Fisher as well. Dan joins us now with more on this landmark self-defense case that was argued in the sweltering summer of 1859. How are you, Dan?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Sean.
It's great to have you. You think in your elementary school, middle school, you've heard everything that there is to hear about Lincoln. Not the case at all. There's something new to be discovered. Tell us about this trial and really the basis of this whole book.
Yeah, so this was a transcript. It's the only transcript that exists of any case that Lincoln has ever argued.
Wow.
And it was only found in 1989 in the garage of the great-grandson of the defendant in a chewed-up box with a yellow bow around it. And lo and behold, you have Lincoln's own words.
Wow.
Representing a guy in a high-profile murder trial that had become a kind of footnote to history. And what was amazing to me is, even after the transcript was discovered in 1989, there was very little coverage or talk about it. So David Fisher, my co-author, and I dug in to the trial, everything that happened around the trial, before the trial, leading up to the trial, but most importantly, using the trial itself and the words of that transcript to tell the story about this very important trial in Lincoln's career and the last major trial Lincoln ever argued.
Wow. Seeing how he argued the case, what did you take from Lincoln?
He knew how to talk to a jury. Is the best way I can say it, is that he knew what to say and how to say it and when to stop. And I think that's what made him such a good lawyer. This was Lincoln at the peak of his career. Mm-hmm. He had a couple of big successes, some high-profile cases in 1857, and he'd really become one of the best-known lawyers in what was then known as the West. Certainly one of the best-known lawyers in Illinois. And this case really demonstrated that, because this wasn't an easy case. It was an unpopular client that he was taking on 9 months before the Republican nomination. And he did it in a very effective way with a jury.
We of course, when we think of Lincoln, we think of great quotes that Lincoln has had. Do we get any more great quotes? Is there a yet to be found quote that came out of these transcripts?
Well, what I love about this transcript is, unlike Lincoln's speeches and prepared remarks, where he clearly wrote them with the goal of making some memorable lines, providing things that people would think about and care about and remember, particularly, of course, as president. In this case, you get Lincoln off the cuff. You get Lincoln extemporaneously. Yeah. You get the Lincoln kind of unvarnished. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes this so special, is that you don't have the kind of prepared remarks, and you just get to get a little bit more of an insight into the kinds of words, the kinds of things that Lincoln would do and say, not just in prepared remarks.
Dan, you teamed up with David Fisher for this book. How long did the creating the book take, and how amazed were you by the end of it?
Well, look, the writing process was about 9 months. Wow. For us, and I have to say that learning so much about Lincoln the lawyer was the most fun for me in working on this book. Mm-hmm. Was that I, like other amateur history buffs, felt like I knew quite a bit about Lincoln, but what I really realized is I didn't know that much about Lincoln the lawyer. Gotcha. And that's what this book is about. This is about this trial and taking us to, how did we get here? Meaning, how did Lincoln get here as a lawyer? And so we go back and we look at old cases that he tried, and people forget, lawyers back then did every kind of case. Lincoln did divorce cases. Lincoln represented railroads, and as is the case here, Lincoln represented murder defendants.
Gosh, I would love to see Abraham Lincoln's television commercial for his law firm. That'd be great. Dan, a pleasure, my friend. Been following you for many years, and it's great to hear from you.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, the murder case that propelled Lincoln to the presidency. Lincoln's Last Trial. It's available now. For more information, just head to the website you see on your screen.